Hello everybody, welcome back. JC here, back with our newest product at Suregood Aviation. Okay, what we're going to be talking about today is going to be the H160 EMS version. This is what you see here behind me. Okay, it's our new edition. It's the H160 platform with all of the EMS medical equipment you could possibly want or need for your role play situation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to break it down and show you all the different aspects and some of the features of how this system works. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop in here real quick. I'm just going to do a quick start. Not necessary to have the aircraft running, but it's always good to have it going. Get some sound in there. Okay, it's always cool to have that running in the background and get that role play feel for this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to cover today is the winch operations. Once we cover the winch operations, then we can move into covering how some of the other aspects work with the winch system. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cam on inside here, and I'm going to show you how we power up the winch. Alright, standard cockpit displays, all normal. Nothing has changed with the flight characteristics or any of the cockpit displays down here. Okay, the mission switch right here. This is going to power our winch system. Okay, so what we need to do for that is simply turn that winch system to the right. There we go. Winch system is initializing. If we come out here and you open this door, that winch will now move into position. Okay? Once that winch is in position, it's now usable. Okay, we have a cockpit equipment mode here that we can use. It tells us what kind of equipment is hooked on here. Right now, it's just the hook. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this helicopter go ahead and pick us up into a hover a little aggressively. It's trying to descend because there we go. There we go, nice, and pick up into a hover, and we're going to hold this hover here. We're going to come up to an out-of-ground effect hover here a little bit higher just for demonstration purposes. Okay, now this winch is normally operated from the person in the back. However, this aircraft can be single piloted using the systems that display in the cabin in the cockpit for the pilot. So you can take this out on solo rescues. It does require you to do a little bit of camming. Okay? So first thing we're going to cover with the winch system is how we add different equipment and what different equipment do we have on board this aircraft to help us save lives. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the basket, the most iconic rescue piece of equipment. Here's our basket. As you saw, I just simply clicked on the basket back here. If I want to get rid of the basket, I click on the hook. And there's the basket all packed up in the back again. Click it, out comes the basket. Okay, that's one rescue equipment piece. Next one we have is the stretcher. Okay, the backboard stretcher, whatever you prefer to call it. Okay, this allows for a person to lay down. Okay, somebody that needs to be immobilized, that can't be moved roughly. Okay, they go on their backboard, they get into this thing, and they get brought up to the helicopter and move straight on to one of the stretchers. Okay, that's that one there. Under the seat here, we have two bags. This yellow bag is going to display or deploy our harness. Okay, single person harness. Okay, and it can go down, person can sit in it and come up and come down. The cool part about this harness is this harness also works with the backboard stretcher thing. Okay, so somebody can be laying on that. You can have the harness. Now we have the capability of bringing two people up at once, our rescuer in the harness and our rescuee in the stretcher. Okay, again, click on the hook and they go away. Our last item here is our rope. Okay, and I'll demo the rope here in just a minute, but the rope allows for us to deploy rescue personnel to the ground. Okay, so those rescue personnel can go all the way down the rope and come and go rescue somebody, and then we can bring the rope back in and send down the harness or send down the basket, what have we. So we can get rescuers on scene, on the ground, without ever having to come out of a hover. And then we can also bring people back up to the aircraft with use of the baskets and other equipment. Okay, again, clicking on that that hook right there will get rid of that. Okay, real quickly, I'm going to throw on the basket just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to pop into mouse look. I'm going to make sure my mouse look is on or disabled so I can go ahead and do this. Here you can see I have the basket selected. The ground, which is the prim below me, is 16 meters away. Okay, I have speed of 0 and I have 0 cable put out. So if I click on this plus sign here, I'm going to increase my speed, 5 being the maximum, and then I'm going to hold this and down goes. You can hear it going down. I can watch the cable gauge to see how much cable I have put out. Right now I have 4 meters of cable, and there's where my basket is. Okay, likewise for somebody sitting in the back. So let's pull up the H160 folder. They have the HUD. Okay, there's the HUD, which can be used not. There we go. There's our HUD. Okay, HUD can be used so that we can be cammed out of the cockpit if you want to. Okay, again, for use as a solo pilot, a solo rescue personnel. We can send that all the way down to the ground, put people in it, and bring it all the way back up. On this up and down arrow, we'll change our speed. Clicking on this right here will change, up and down arrow will change the length. As you can see, I've slowed it all the way down to 1, and it moves very slowly. This is very good when you want to do up close and personal, get it right to that exact position that you want it to do. And then 5, you can bring it all the way up at a increased speed, all the way back up to the top. Okay, that is the control basics of that system. What I'm going to do now is I am going to take this thing out of physical so that I can stand up, and I'm going to climb into the back and give you a little bit of demonstration of how it works in the back. Okay, this is the operator seat for the winch. First seat, operator seat for the winch. And the reason that this is that operator seat for the winch is when we click on that, we move into that winch deployed position. And from here, we can move that winch up and down, okay, allowing for us to load some piece of equipment. There's that harness now loaded, okay. And I can go ahead and send that harness down and still maintain a look on it. Alright, I did lie. The reason that this is not letting me use my mouse buttons is because I did not turn on the winch. I apologize. Okay, you gotta turn on the winch. Here we have the clickies if you want to do this for mouse look. Okay, we can raise. It's not letting my thing is not letting me click today. Okay, page up and page down will also control that winch. Okay, and we can move it. The other cool aspect about this, which unfortunately I can't demonstrate without a second person sitting in the pilot seat, if I have a pilot, that is operating the aircraft, and I am operating the winch back here, okay, I have the capabilities of using my arrow keys, okay, and they will allow me to use that joystick right there and maneuver the aircraft into a more suitable location. Okay, very small control inputs. Anybody who's ever done rescue, you've lowered it and your basket's 10-15 feet away from a person in the water and they have to swim. With this system is I can use those arrow keys to bring my basket to the people instead of making the people swim to my basket. Okay, so that's going to be the absolute basics of this. What we will do is I will demonstrate the rope. Everything else is exactly the same. There's two things I will demonstrate. The first one I will demonstrate, I lied, it's going to be the basket. Okay, the basket and the harness work the same way. Okay, if you've ever flown a Suregood, one of our bigger aircraft, you know that you can move around in the aircraft without standing, and we have that same system here. If I click on this basket, it now moves my avatar into that basket. Okay, I can still control the HUD. Okay, if I want to come out of the basket, all I have to do is click on my seat. And I move back into my seat. If I want to go over to that seat, I click on that one. If I want to go to this seat, I click there. Okay. The backboards, okay, to get into those, we have to use the transfer system, but that works based off of being in the backboard. Okay. See, if I do it this way, it'll move me in there. If I do it off of the backboard, it'll again move me over. Okay. And this way we can move avatars around inside the aircraft without requiring somebody to stand and sit in another position, which, as we all know, can cause the aircraft to move violently and abruptly. So that's the internal moving of the aircraft. I will now demonstrate the rope, which, if you have our EC-135 police variant, you've used the rope system. Once the rope is deployed, I simply click on the rope, and I now am on the rope. Holding the down arrow, S key, whichever you use to walk backwards, will slide you down the rope all the way to the ground. And the cool feature is when we get to the bottom of that rope at the ground, it stands you up. Okay, you cannot climb back up the rope. I can jump and try to grab the rope, but it does not work. Okay, rope only works going from up there to down here. Okay, with that being said, we'll go back up into this aircraft and we will land, and I will show you. Woo, I do want to land, so what we're gonna do is, I lied. Let's just go ahead and click the land button there. And we'll let the autopilot aggressively slam us into the ground. Thank you, autopilot. The autopilot was not in the mood for that. Pull out a new EC-135. I'm sorry, correction, a new H160. My bad. Alright, next thing we're going to cover is going to be the emergency equipment on the ground. Okay? One of my favorite features of this aircraft, we do have dual stretchers. Both stretchers work with the similar process of the EC-135, except for now I can unload these stretchers in different directions. If I want to unload to the left, or I want to unload to the right, if I want to unload both of them, I can. Right here on this panel, okay, we click on that down button. Down come the hydraulics to bring the stretcher to load to unload level. And I can now, oops, can't unload to the right. There's already a stretcher there. I can now unload to this side. Okay? And call me whatever, but this is one of my personal favorite features. All right? You all just saw me unload those two stretchers. That stretcher over there was on the bottom. This stretcher was on the top. Well, what happens if I push this stretcher? Okay, bring it over here to load a patient. Okay, I'm going to lower that stretcher. I'm going to let go. I'm going to put on my backboard, and I'm going to put on my blocks just because I can. Raise it up, but hey, the other guy's ready to go. Do they have to wait for me to come back with this stretcher? Because that stretcher that I just pushed way over there was on the bottom, or was on the top. So wouldn't the bottom have to be loaded first? And this is one of my absolute favorite features of this aircraft. Okay, this stretcher that I'm holding now was the bottom stretcher. Okay, however, now it's the top stretcher. You show me another aircraft where we can move prims around to different locations and everything still works properly. Okay, now I can come back over to here. They've stabilized this patient. I can go ahead and grab this stretcher. And I can walk this stretcher over to my aircraft. Okay, I will ride on this stretcher just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like, and I'm going to load that stretcher in. It rotates it around to the proper direction, and it sticks it in the aircraft. Okay, I'm going to unload this guy to the left, then I'm going to go sit on this stretcher. I'm going to lower it down to the ground, or to the bottom level, and then I'm going to unload him on the right side. Okay, now I can go ahead, if I wanted to, get back on this stretcher, reload it, and put it up so you can just see a person in all the animations. Move back over to this stretcher and load this stretcher. Doesn't matter which one gets loaded first, doesn't matter which one's top, which one's bottom. Okay, we're going to do the rest of this, show you guys this from the bottom stretcher just because I'm already on it. Up here are our air masks, okay, for oxygen flow. If I need oxygen, I can click on that air mask. You may have to adjust your avatar's hover height to do it. My avatar is fairly large, so it doesn't line up exactly. Over here is my IV system. There we go. I can push my IV in. Heart monitor. With our sounds working, shows us our heart monitor. Okay? The patient or the person can click on this. Okay? They can click health, and then they can choose where they want to be. Where is their health? Well, I'm going to be stressed right now. Look at my heart rate is skyrocketing right here. Well, the question then comes, do I shock the person? Well, let's find out. We hit the AED button. Okay? We're going to hit the analysis button. It's going to analyze our patient. Does our patient need to be shocked? No shock is advised at this time. Oh, wait. What happened to my patient? What's going on? He's gone into fibrillation. Oh, shoot. What do we do? Analysis. Do I shock or do I not shock? Oh, they say we should shock. It's going to charge the system to 200 joules. And we're going to go ahead and deliver that shock by clicking on this red button. Okay? No change in patient status. Well, I don't want to analyze anymore. I want to switch it over to manual control. Manual control, set 350. Click on charge. We are now charging. Okay. Charged and clear. Deliver my shock. Now, do you have to go to 350? No. Okay. The 250 may work. It may take 2 or 3 tries for the 250 to work. Okay, it's randomized, but there we go. Okay, we can now put away the AED section of this thing right here by clicking right there. Alright, and you may say, okay, that's annoying. I don't want to have to hear this my whole flight. Well, guess what? That's why they invented the mute button. Oh, look, system is now muted. Okay, these two are a part of the stretcher. The oxygen system is a part of the helicopter. Clicking up here will deploy it depending on which one has a patient. Okay, if I go and sit up here on the top one, oops, I apologize for that. I did not sit in the correct position. There we go. If I go sit up on the top one and we click right there, there's my oxygen mask. There's my IV. There is my heart monitor. Okay. Everything else we have is for role play purposes. These screens will light up if we turn on electricity in the aircraft just to give it that extra role play feel. There you go. There's our screens. Okay. We have another IV system right there going into either patient. This is the top bunk. This is the bottom bunk. Alright, I believe that's all of our features. If I missed one, I will make an addendum to the video. Flight characteristic wise, the aircraft flies exactly the same. All the same features are still here for the pre-flighting, opening all the panels, all of that stuff. Okay. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to jump into the Sure Good group. Hit us up. We will happily answer what we can when we can. Like I said, if I missed anything in the video, I will make an addendum to this video and I'll attach it somewhere on here. Alright, so y'all have a good day. Have fun, get out there and start rescuing some people. This is JC signing out.